Hit comedy series Scrubs was based around the life of a medical intern, JD, who had an on-again, off-again, back on-again, and then off-again relationship with fellow intern Elliot. So let's go back to day one, when it was off-again.
Hey! Are we, like, racing? Please, I'm not that desperate.
So you do a lot of cardio, or?
Just brilliant. Zach Braff joins us now, and welcome.
That was so long ago, it feels like another lifetime. That was the pilot.
You say that actually that was one of the best jobs in the world.
Oh, I can't imagine a better job than being paid well to be silly and act like a goofball with all your best friends. It's like the most perfect job in the world.
And you directed some of them as well, didn't you?
Yeah, a handful. I think about a half dozen.
Well, you're incredibly talented, because when I was reading through everything that you've done, it seems that whatever you touch kind of turns to gold.
Oh, I don't know. That's not true. If you didn't look very far. There's been a couple of stinkers, but thank you. I'm trying to, you know, I made my own film, Garden State, which was.
I loved Garden State. One of my favorites.
Thank you very much, and it did very well. You know, we made it for no money, and it had this giant reactions.
Well, let's put figures on that. You made it for about $2.5 million, and it made $35 million.
Yeah.
And not only that, so you then have a fantastic soundtrack and win a Grammy for it.
Yeah, my friends
almost
tease
by
me.
Accident.
My friends tease me that I won a Grammy for a mixtape, which is true.
I love a mixtape.
Yeah, it's a great mixtape. I didn't know there was a category for mixtape. It turns out there was, and yeah. So you know, it was an assemblage of the music. There were so many things about that experience that were, you know, the album went platinum. I won a Grammy, but I had all these amazing artists, and including Coldplay, who said yes because they liked the film, and they loaned this tiny little movie their music. So I was lucky.
So you're kind of fulfilling two ambitions in a way, being here. One, coming to London with a play, but also with a play that you've written.
Yes, I grew up in going to the theater and being involved in the theater. I've always dreamed of doing a play in the West End, and never would have imagined it was a play I've written, which is a play called All New People, that we did in New York for this past summer, and had such a wonderful reaction that we were invited to do it here at the Duke of York's Theatre in the West End.
So that's one of those building dreams, isn't it? It gets bigger and bigger as it goes.
This play was it's my first play I've ever written, and so I thought, well, this will be a learning exercise. I'd always loved to try and push myself, and then we had such a wonderful reaction in New York. And then we got invited here, and then they said this, you know, one of the most beautiful theaters in the West End, the Duke of York's, and then they said, what if we toured around a little bit? So we're going to Manchester and Glasgow beforehand. It's just been beyond my wildest imagination.
But you're quite clever, because when it came to Broadway, you wrote it, but you weren't in it.
I wasn't in it because I thought, you know, when I've directed film and TV, you can sort of, and acted at the same time, you can go look at the monitor and say, okay, that was junk, I need to do it again, or not. And with this, you know, theater, there's obviously no playback, so you had to, I thought it was best to just sort of sit in the back of the house and rewrite it and tweak it, and it's a comedy, so, you know, some jokes work, some don't, you know, continue to shape it. And then I thought, well, we got such a great reaction. This time, maybe I'll take a turn at playing the leading role.
Well, it's Charlie's. It's the dead of winter. It's a Long Island beach apartment, and it's Charlie's 35th birthday. And he's sort of reached rock bottom. He's looking for a bit of solitude, really, isn't he?
He wants to be alone. He's as depressed as a person can be. And through a series of sort of comic events, three strangers show up at the very same abandoned, desolate beach house. And the play takes place in really 90 minutes real time. It's really fast-paced comedy, but they begin to partake in a little bit of alcohol and other things, and they can't help but open themselves up, and some of their dramatic past sort of rise to the top.
Have you had to change much of it for for bringing it over here?
There's been a handful of things. It's funny, you know, we're sitting in rehearsals. I have a wonderful cast. Eve Miles, who plays Gwen on Torchwood, and is up for one of your fancy TV awards tonight.
Yes,
she's wonderful. She plays opposite me, and Susanna Fielding and Paul Hilton, who are wonderful actors. But we've been sitting around the rehearsal room talking about. I've been asking, like, okay, do you have this over here? Do you have Pringles over here? And they, yeah, we have Pringles. You know, there's little things like that that are like some pop culture references. There's been a handful I've had to change because they're slightly different. But for the most part, all the humor and the comedy, you know, much like the reaction here to Scrubs, I think translates.
Yeah. Well, you've got that's the theatre and the writing and the acting and the music, and the movies and directing.
I'm also in dental school.
What? Well, you've got your pilot's license as well.
I did get my pilot's license. Yes, I didn't fly here, but I fly as I learned to fly a single-engine propeller plane. Actually, it was born out of a fear of flying. I realized somehow in my early 30s I had become a nervous flyer. So I thought.
So you can be up there on your own and no one can hear you scream.
Well, I thought that's one way to put it. But I thought if I took a lesson and learned the avionics and the sort of physics of flight, maybe it would help me. That's what I thought. And not only did it help, but I got the bug and fell in love with it.
How much do you fly yourself around now?
It has to do with how busy I am with work or not. But when I have some free time, I do it whenever I can.
So you licensed to fly here? Can you fly
I'm not licensed to fly here, but I would love when I get a chance to go up with a professional and just explore.
You could fly up to Glasgow when you're on your way up there.
That would be cool. I don't know if the play would let me. I think they might rather have me on a train.
Yeah.
So what's on the list then? So that's all those achievements which we listed. Is there something what's the next thing you want to do?
You know, just more the same. I'd love to make another movie. I haven't been able to make a film since Garden State because I've been doing other things, and a couple I tried to make, you know, it's so hard and they didn't come to fruition. But I think if I were to say what would my next goal be, it would be to direct another movie because I had such a good experience doing it the first time.
Well, the best of luck with that.
Yeah, welcome to London.
All New People opens in the West End. It's the Duke of York, as you were saying, from the 22nd of February. But for a limited run, and they are limited runs, these, it's Manchester Opera House from the 8th to the 11th of February, and Glasgow at the King's from the 14th to the 18th. So enjoy it. And you haven't been to Scotland? You haven't been to
I've never been. I've just been a tourist in London so far. I've never been really outside, so I can't wait to explore and
well,
look
in which
around.
case you'll love it. They're both great cities,
Yeah,
and do enjoy our lovely weather.
Yes, this looks beautiful.
Thank you for you this morning. Yes,
I love it. You know, you guys are very into the weather, but it's often like that, right?
Yeah. Wouldn't you be if it was often like that? Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.